start, I just want to say thank you to every person who has walked alongside us as we journeyed through developing the Gatepost, particularly the board members. I wouldn't be standing here if it wasn't for everybody who has helped us get here. There's a lot of you, and it's not just the board members. So thank you so much, and thank you to Britt. I know you're holding the video and you can't get that thank you. But without Britt coming along to do her student placement, I probably would have been a bit lazier about getting this charity going. But she forced me to do it, really. And so thanks, Britt. And Britt's been fabulous and she's agreed to stay on, so we're very happy. So I also need to say thank you to Rural Law. So if it's not for Rural Law, which is my lovely husband Pete and my lovely daughter Annie, and also Ali now, who works with us, and Sandra, who's not here. If it wasn't for Rural Law, we wouldn't be standing here today either. Rural Law pretty much funds this charity up to now. So thank you, Pete. That's actually worth a clap. Thank you. Now, I'd rather poke myself in the eye or do other damage to myself than stand here and tell you anything about me. But I don't think I can explain the genesis of the Gatepost without telling you something about myself. So I've written a speech. If I speak too fast, somebody yell out, out breath. Wendy will yell out, out breath. I hate speaking in public.
Are you sure?
Really, really sure.
Fake it, Sarah.
Hey?
You're a faker.
Yeah, I'm faking well. Fake it till you make it, right, Chuck?
Working on it. It's just a
So,
session, it's okay.
I was raised and schooled in Gunnedah, so I am a local. But I left when I was very young, 16 years old, in 1987 when I ran away from home. I don't know if everyone knows this story.
We brought you back.
Well, I returned for good so far in 2001. When I returned, I began working as a counsellor, as well as in voluntary roles for the Gunnedah District Development Board. And I don't know if Anne's got back yet, but I have a big thank you to say to Anne for mentoring me through some developmental processes around business. So thank you, Anne.
That's all right. I think it's probably a bilateral approach.
Thank you. And I also worked in various community development roles for the, including researching and developing the social plan for council in 2005. And it was during that time that I really got to understand some of the, well, the social fabric of our town and also some of the gaps that existed within that. So anyone who knew me as an adolescent will tell you that I was nothing but trouble. My adolescent years, I say that laughingly, but it wasn't fun. So my adolescent years saw my relationship with life deteriorate rapidly, and by my mid-20s, my lived experiences had included many traumas and many difficulties, which I had to do a great deal of personal work over very many years to overcome. It's not easy having this conversation, you get this right. Luckily for me, my starting point for life was pretty good. I grew up in my own family, in a place that I felt I belonged. And I grew up surrounded by animals. And anyone who knows me will tell you that they still keep me grounded and real. They matter enormously. I had space and nature and freedom to explore it all. I know now that I stand here as a functioning human being because of that secure start in life. And I also know that not all of us are that fortunate. I'm going to have a little drink. Yes. Everywhere. I love this work. So by my late 20s, life and I were beginning to get along a little better. Thank God. And I began to understand that for me, life was going to be able to stay good if I really committed myself to the service of others. So you see, this isn't altruism. This is simply Quite simply self-serving. And so began the journey of formal education and continued experience that really has culminated in me standing here in front of you all now, as I really do hope to make the best use of me in the service of the social well-being of our town. Thank you. That's enough personal stuff, right? We are living in a town that's full of every manifestation of lived experiences. We have wealth and poverty. We have privilege and oppression. And we have everything in between. We're also living in an international communications world that shows the best of the best and the worst of the worst, and it mostly leaves the 80% of our ordinary lived experiences in between those polarities completely out of the picture. We're bombarded with extremes. I suspect that in the environment of instability that's surrounding us, our normalising judgments take root and become unwavering, and they're desperately trying to ensure that we keep upright. We in Gunnedah, like in many country towns, are a microcosm of blended society, and we're governed by established social controls of normalising judgments that have us invested in so many ideas of how we ought to look, live, behave, succeed. And our identities depend on whether we measure up favourably to these notions. So what happens to those who, like my younger self, don't feel like we're measuring up? How do we begin a conversation about those pressures that bear down on us, that have all of us feeling that at times that we're failed or ashamed, or in despair, or we don't measure up, or we're lost, and also silenced? How do we turn our eyes towards those normative judgments that we are all involved in the creation of, and begin to expose those judgments for the bullies that they can be? How do we do this? How do we do this? So that we can begin to understand the pressures that we as rural people often feel to cope. You know, to be self-reliant, to have all the answers, to pull our socks up, just get on with it, just don't think about it, keep yourself busy. This would be resonating with some people, right? Anything at all, instead of just being able to say, hey, I'm having a shitty time. How do we do that? And then if we can do that, how do we provide services that fit those self-reliant souls? So these are some of the questions that we at the Gatepost are hoping to start some conversations around. We know that in Australia, 8 people per week are dying by their own hand. 8 people per week. How can we in Gunnedah ensure that we try to keep our people out of those stats? What can we do? How do we begin to take responsibility for our own communities? How do we shift our expectations away from a government that is largely failing at social justice doing, and begin a community-driven, thank you, and begin a community-driven response to our own social issues? How do we take back the role of being civic-minded and doing civic duty? And by that I mean engaging in the art of being a pro-social, problem-solving contributor in a self-governing community. Doesn't that sound great?
I like
Yeah.
that.
I think we should have that as our tagline. How do we become that?
I'm not pushing it.
Well, we at the Gatepost think that getting together and creating a charitable, therapeutic organisation that gives the community an entry point to being able to become involved in being a civic citizen is a bloody good start. And we really do encourage you to become involved in this local grassroots and greenfields project. There's more. I'm sick of me, but lots of people have said to me, but what do you do? So I have to include that, right? For now, the Gatepost consists of Britt and I delivering individual and group therapy sessions that are built around developing preferred narratives of life and telling those stories that strengthen. We are committed to ensuring that we engage people in conversations that are centering them as the authority in their own lives and honouring of their knowledges of their life. We trace the history of knowledges and we engage with the broader struggles associated with identity and culture. And we do that because we know that being able to move out of blaming yourself for your situation is what enables you to step into responsibility. So we join people in conversations that provide the opportunity for them to build on their knowledges and expand their awarenesses. And this is why the charity exists. We are committed to ensuring we're available to all people. Those who can pay do, and those who can't don't. It's that simple, which is why we need donations. So the development of the Gatepost support services is a collaborative and organic process. And I really want to thank all of you for coming along tonight just to launch the energy of it. And I really do hope that you will choose to become involved with us, even though we're not 100% sure where it's going. Thank you so much. That's